Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at a giant walking, almost mobile base-like vehicle, which is called the Crab, which is this lovely thing ominously sitting right behind me. So this is a very big structure that features 4 legs that can move in multiple directions. We've got a lot of guns around the outside, we've got a very big interior, and we also have a giant ramp at the back that we can use to store vehicles on the inside if you wanted to. So this thing, when you actually drive it around, will lift up off the ground quite significantly, so there will be plenty of clearance between it and the floor, and it does have a few thrusters here and there to help it get over hills, which is its main point of weakness. Pressing F10 and finding this in its spawn menu, we'll have a quick look through here, have a quick look around the outside, tour of the interior, then we'll actually go and test it out. But of course, if you want to skip through anything, I do set up chapters, so feel free to skip ahead if you want to. So, the Crab, there it is right there, is 1,808 large blocks using all the DLC packs. This thing does not use any mods, but it does have a few scripts here and there, which is how it's all functioning. We also have some very useful information about the controls of how it works, and then of course what it uses on the hotbar. So we'll give this thing a thumbs up, we'll move around towards, suppose we'll start over at the face, and then we'll just go around the outside from here. So at the very front, in fact I don't know where to put the camera, so I'll just dump it down here. This is what we get. So right in the middle we got the ominous head that features 4 red spotlights that give it that really cool glow, especially at night. If I was to change it to nighttime, I am using a much darker skybox, but look at that. That is very menacing to come walking at you at night. Coming back to daytime, on the left and right hand side, we've got ourselves a bunch of steel blocks, some in a dark grey colour, some in a more coppery colour. They come down to wheel suspensions, which are going to act as our feet. These feet have been set up to absorb all the impacts as it trudges along the ground. We'll get a better look at that a bit later. It was to move up one of these legs, this is how it's been set up. So we've got a column in the middle, we've got some interior turrets for a bit of defense, and all the way up to here we do have a remote control block, adding some decoration. As for the face, that is a close-up, so there's 4 spotlights and steel plates. And then for the main body, there we go. Moving around onto the side, it's going to be the same on the opposite, so I only look at this side. We do have some artillery turrets to blast your enemies with. We also have a gate to allow you to come out onto that balcony, get a good look at what's going on and where you're travelling to, and of course use your rocket launcher if you want to manually shoot something. So we got some great use of retro future skin, just breaking up all that grey, as well as our corrugated black blocks right at the bottom there, just to add some more decoration. And then right over to this section we can see our first atmospheric thruster to help move this thing around. If we want to get a bit closer, turn off my light for the moment, but you can see how the legs are going to be moving around. So we've got hinges that's going to allow it to move left and right. This is going to be useful for strafing, which is very useful if you end up getting stuck somewhere or simply need to maneuver this thing around. Round onto this side, we'll just come down underneath here, but there's some more hinges to allow it to move up and down, which is how it's going to walk around. But this at the very back is our ramp to get all the way up inside, and of course to drive a vehicle in if you wanted to. So the ramp is just simply onto a hinge that'll fold all the way up. Then we've got some hangar bay doors that will just seal us inside and make sure it's nice and airtight. Yes, we can see on the inside a bunch of catwalks and stairs leading up to multiple floors. We'll take a look at that when we're on foot. Coming down past our ramp, we do have a button panel to be able to access this on the outside, so we can open and close it from there. Then just put my light on. We do have some golden blocks underneath. I think I called them copper earlier. Quite hard to see what colour this actually is. There we go, that's just going all the way underneath it. Yes, dropping down, we're not going to be able to see too much because of the grass. Moving all the way up and looking down at it, that's what we can see on our legs. See how very big compared to the character, and of course to that ramp. But moving over to the main body, there's all of our artillery turrets. We've got ourselves an antenna to make sure we can always find this thing. Some windows where we can peer inside, and some modules. If you were to look over onto this side, we've got another balcony which will lead all the way onto the interior. But there is our curved conveyors, some more of our shiny blocks, some more grease for our railing to make sure you don't fall off this thing, and an access ladder to let you get up to those turrets and repair them if they ever took damage. And just moving towards the front, that's where our head is sitting, so we've got some more corrugated black steel blocks. That just breaks up the middle there, around all the grey. And there we go, that's a very brief look around the outside of the Crab, and it does look great with how it's all been set up. This is one of those designs that you see on the workshop where you look at it and you're like, what on earth is that? Then you click on it on the workshop, take a look through all the images, take a look through the text, and it just raises more questions, and you just have to spawn it in the world to actually get a better look at it and see what's going on. But anyway, grab me hold of my character. What we can do now is come around to that ramp at the very back, and luckily we can walk all the way underneath this thing to get to the ramp. all the way around over here. We can just about access this from the ground. There we go, so we don't need to use our jetpack. On the ramp itself, all the way up. Then we come over to this section right here. You'll probably want to come over to these rounded blocks here, onto the hinge, then up inside. So it does get a bit wonky, but due to the way this thing is sitting on the ground, I wasn't able to walk all the way up. But this is the interior, so we can see our catwalks, our stairs. We've got a bunch of curved conveyors going everywhere. We've got a bunch of modules attached onto stuff, as well as a few access points in the form of some O2H2 generators. Looking around the room, we've got our gates on both sides that lead us to our balconies, and we've got some chairs to sit on in case you want a little rest. So opening up this is what we get. We've got a lovely artillery turret above us, or it might be an assault turret. I always get them mixed up, so do excuse that. But this is the view we get from this floor. Very nice stuff. You can easily snipe stuff with your rocket launcher if you wanted to. Then just turning around, close out behind me. And we'll come over to this button panel and actually seal myself inside. So we've got a simple one, like underneath where we can open it and close it. Just hitting that is a master control that'll lift the ramp all the way up, and then close the hangar doors right behind it. Now we're going to be nice and sealed in, nice and airtight, and ready to go around on a non-auction planet. Anyway, where can we go from here? So looking down at these catwalks, we can see a floor below us, which can be accessed by these ladder shafts over here. We do have some railings around it to make sure you don't accidentally fall down it, and we do have a survival kit in the middle to respawn on and to recharge yourself. So what we're going to do is come down this side. We won't go down the opposite because it will be exactly the same. Got a pillar in the middle, a bunch of gyroscopes, and we do have some more corrugated steel blocks right there, just for some decoration. But now we can look up to where we just were, and on the opposite side, we've got some programmable blocks with a few things set up, but a lot of them are blank and for you to use with whatever. Anyway, jetpacking all the way back up, it's time to come up these steps and take a look on the floors above. Around here, up we go. So here's the cargo access to store a few bits and bobs. It comes with a bunch of assault shells, so there must be assault turrets on the side there. If we look in here, for our assembler, there we go, we've got a large one. And of course our refinery, we've got a basic refinery. So there we go with that. Coming up these steps and moving all the way around, we've got a bunch more modules, and there is our basic refinery. But here, we've got a split in the path. Coming up these steps in front of me is going to go to our cockpit, and going up to the side will lead to our upper balconies that will eventually go up to our turrets on top. But as you can see in front of me, we've got two interior turrets, so there's no sneaking around in here. We do have some warfare reactors, just to give this thing a bit of power. We come up to this one for the moment, we've got a sliding door that goes all the way down. There we go. Now we come outside, and this is the view we get from here. So we are slightly higher, and we can just about make out in the distance there another mountain. Walking around here, there's our curved conveyors, there's some more shiny retro future blocks. Here is our ladder to go all the way up to our turrets. And there it is. I always forget how detailed these things are with all the dirt all the way around it. Anyway, we walk up these blocks, come over this turret, repair it up if we need to. Could be very dangerous walking around here because you can easily fall off and end up on the ground. So just dropping down, all the way around, past this door once again, we'll then close it up. There we go. We now walk over to this section, open up this doorway, and this will reveal to us our helm to drive this thing around. So we've only got a few controls for this, and we cannot see it from the interior, so we'll have to do this in the third person. Number one is going to be to auto walk, but we do not have to press this. It is set up to use WASD, and it does work very well. It's very stable as it moves around. Number 6 is going to be to raise and lower this, so at the moment I've lowered it to the ground, to be able to keep it nice and steady while looking around it, and of course walking around the interior. But pressing that, we're now going to bounce it all the way up. The legs are now in their ready position, and we are good to go and walk around. And then the final controls, number 8 and number 9 is going to be to open and close the ramp at the back there, so we say press that to open, and then press number 9 to close it up. Without further ado, what I'm going to do is hide the HUD, and it's time to walk this thing around, so we're going to just hold W for the moment. And this is how it works. It takes a little bit for it to settle down once it initially starts moving. That's how it works. It simply goes 1 foot and slowly moves itself along. As for the speed, this is what we're getting. We're getting about 22-25 meters per second, but as it stabilizes itself and as it goes along a flat surface, we will get up to about 14 meters per second. Coming to a stop, we do sort of bounce around, so you do have to be quite careful with that. Now if I realign the camera, holding Q or E is going to allow us to straight. So holding E, here we go, we're now going to move left to right. That's very nice if we get stuck somewhere and need you to maneuver this thing out. Coming to a stop, then pressing A or D, this is how we're going to turn this thing around. So we're simply going to hold A, and it's now going to rotate itself at 360 very, very slowly and very carefully. Very slowly moving around, and we're going to face those trees in the distance. And yes, that's that for the controls. It can move backwards, but it's nowhere near as good as moving forwards. So we'll just show you that for the moment. There we go, it is a little bit awkward because we lose the power of the thrusters that would help it moving forwards. Coming to a stop once again. I think for the moment what we'll do is just put number 1 on and just let it walk to its doom, and that'll be that for the crab. So coming into first person view once again and landing all the way down, this is what it's like on the inside. We are very wobbly as it trudges along the ground. But what I'm going to try and do is get all the way up to this balcony up here, and we'll get a better view of what's going on. Oh, it's very bumpy, doesn't like going through that door. I swear I closed that door up. But here we go, it's not too bad at the end of the day, considering it is automated and walking around. We're moving at about 35 meters per second, which is very impressive, and I'm more impressed with how it's handling the terrain. And yes, that is pretty much it for the Crab has to offer. It's a lovely little mobile base if you do want to have one that walks around on legs. It's very speedy, very safe, and seems to handle well when fully automated, and of course the pilot is nowhere near it. So there'll be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to download it and play around with it yourself. Highly recommend you do, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.